Tesla is notorious for burning their customers. I've owned several electric vehicles. I am probably one of the most hated electric vehicle owners in the country, even though I actually do enjoy them. But Tesla is taking advantage of you in certain ways, and in today's video, I'm gonna show you what you need to look out for. All Tesla owners, whether you're looking to buy a new one, a used one, or have owned one and already purchased one. And if that's the case, I'm really sorry. My name is Craig from Flying Wheels. Let me explain to you a little bit about Tesla. Let's get going. So this right here is a 2020 Model 3 with 89,000 miles. This is actually considered high miles for an electric vehicle. Now going into the Model 3, it's very basic. This is essentially your Honda Civic for the Tesla platform. Now in 2019, Tesla actually wasn't doing that well. And once COVID came and the government started pushing the EV agenda, Tesla took off. Now, when manufacturers couldn't produce vehicles, Tesla couldn't produce them fast enough. People were buying them and the prices were skyrocketing. And if you were lucky enough to get one, or a Model Y, or forget it, a Model X, then the value actually went up for a very short time. And that was with a lot of cars, it wasn't just Tesla. Now in 2021, I actually bought a Porsche Taycan, brand new from a dealer. The car is incredible. It performs better than Tesla. It looks better than Tesla. It is truly a luxury and sports car. You can see how much goes into this car versus your very basic Tesla. And the good thing is, unlike Tesla, you can get this car serviced at any Porsche dealership, which are all over the country. If you've ever owned a Tesla and know what it's like to service your car, they're easily 1 month out every time you need your vehicle serviced. So my Cybertruck, for example, anytime something went wrong, they were minimum 1 month out before I could drop it off for repairs. And the Tesla dealership for me is not close. Now, when I bought my Cybertruck, I lived in New Hampshire. I had to fly to New Jersey to get it because they're not licensed to sell in New Hampshire. So that was another downfall about buying my Cybertruck. I had to fly into New Jersey and drive back 5 hours. Now, I will give Tesla credit where credit is due. The Model S was their flagship car. This is one of the first cars they put out to really show you how great the electric vehicle world really can be. And to be honest with you, the Model S did just that. Now, the Model S has some pretty cool features that really wowed some people. If you touch right here, the door opens up. The problem is, in the cold and ice, these weren't opening, so people weren't able to get into their vehicles. Now, that's not a really big deal, but the fit and finish and craftsmanship in Tesla is a little low compared to other manufacturers. As you can see, this 43,000 mile Model S is kind of falling apart. And although comfortable, the leather is a little cheaply made. And although this steering wheel is wrapped in leather, oftentimes the newer Model S Plaids, which have an over $100,000 MSRP, are actually just wrapped in cheap vinyl, and your hands wear out the vinyl. Now, Craig, none of that has anything to do with how Tesla is screwing their customers. So what is the problem? What are you talking about? Well, in 2017, the Tesla Model S had a base price of $68,000, ranging upwards of $134,000 depending on the trim package you're getting. So they had the Model S, which was their flagship car. Then they had the Model 3, which was their entry-level, very, very affordable electric vehicle. Well, after the Model 3 came the Model Y. So if you didn't want to spend $100,000+ on a Model X or a Model S, and you didn't want your base model Model 3, you could buy one of these, which was smaller than the Model X, but also larger than the Model 3. Still comes with your fancy door handles and your very basic interior. You have your vinyl style cushy leather. You have one tablet display without an instrument cluster, 20-inch wheels, and then your arcade style steering wheel. Now in 2020, the Tesla Model Y had an MSRP ranging from $51,000 to $61,000. Fast forward to 2024, the starting MSRP on a base model Model Y is $42,000. We're talking $9,000 less than these cars were 4 years ago. So if you paid $51,000 in 2020, you're actually paying $9,000 more than a newer one 4 years later after inflation. That's both a negative and a positive, which I'm going to get into in a second. Now you can see how many used Teslas there are for sale. They go all the way down the row right here. Now all of these are for sale. And on top of these being for sale used, Hertz just announced that they're selling thousands of their Teslas and they're giving up on their Tesla EV platform. The reason for this is because consumers just don't know how electric vehicles work. I've had an EV. I know how it works. A lot of you may have had EVs. You know how it works. But when they're trying to push a Tesla agenda and the infrastructure isn't there, people don't know where to go to charge these cars. It's become actually an inconvenience to charge your rental car. When I buy an ICE engine, internal combustion engine, I can go to any gas station and fill up. But when you get a rental car that's an electric vehicle, you have to return it on a full charge, which means you have to drive potentially way out of the way to find a charging station to then drive it back and have it have near a full charge. And for a while, Hertz and all the other electric vehicle rental companies were actually charging a premium for electric vehicles. But once they found out it was a flop, they started doing incentives like free charging if you rent an electric vehicle. And honestly, last time I went to a rental company, they had no cars available. Everything was sold out. The line was through the door, out the door, and the only vehicles that were left were electric vehicles. I gladly took one. I took one, they gave me free charging. It was great for me. But not everybody is like that. They would have rather waited in line for a regular gas engine, therefore making the idea of Hertz renting out Teslas a failure. But I digress. That is not what this video is about. How is Tesla screwing over their customers? Well, there's a positive and a negative to this. I showed you that the Model Y is actually $9,000 less than it was 4 years ago to buy brand new. So that would also make a used newer Model Y worth less than the older Model Y, right? No. If you bought a 2020, 2021, 2022 Model Y, the values have to be fair. They have to reflect and be lower than what a 2024 used vehicle would be. Let's go into this Model Y, for example. Now, this just happened on my Cybertruck, and it also happened to a friend of mine, Matt, if you're watching this, in his Model Y, which he loves. He is a total Tesla nerd, as I love to refer to them, but he loves his Tesla. The problem is, he put in his order for a Tesla, he ordered a Tesla, he purchased a Tesla, brand new, and then shortly after that, Tesla lowered the prices. Too bad for him, and too bad for everybody that bought a Tesla. Tesla is notorious for lowering their prices on a whim. They just do it. Overnight, don't tell anybody. So if I buy a Tesla today at $42,000, and then tomorrow they say, hey, we're lowering the MSRP on that same car you purchased to $38,000, too bad. I lost $4,000. You don't get to know if they're lowering the prices, which they do. Now, I said it's a positive and a negative. When Ford and Chevy and every other company is increasing tremendously their MSRPs, their values year after year on a new vehicle, Tesla's actually been great at bringing the values down, making things more affordable. Their infrastructure is better on electric vehicles compared to anything else. Their pricing is better. Their technology is constantly improving. And they've essentially revolutionized the car world. I can order a car on my phone. I can pick it up without speaking to anybody. I can apply for financing through my Tesla app on my phone. I can schedule maintenance in. Now, the problem is it takes away from that personal connection. There's nobody to really talk to. I can't call the 800 number and talk to a person. I'm talking to AI. Everything is done electronically. But from a tech company, what do you expect? They're not making cars. They're making technology. They're building the future for us. They're trying to make things more affordable for people. Now, no oil changes, no alternators to replace, no belts, no pulleys. It's just electric motors and a battery. So when I said 89,000 is a lot of miles, it's not in an internal combustion engine, but an electric vehicle, these batteries are really, really expensive. So if this car bricks at some point 10 years or 100,000 miles down the road, it's out of warranty, it's actually more expensive to replace the battery than the car is worth. So it's not worth doing it. So it's actually going to be one day great potential vehicles to put in engine swaps. Turn these into race cars. And if you watch Lucky Lopez, he's already turned a Model 3 into a drift car with a 2JZ inline 6-cylinder turbo, which is pretty cool that he got from Copart. So shout out to Copart and Lucky Lopez. Not sponsored by either one of them, but it's still pretty neat to see what our future could turn into. Now, this is the Ford Lightning. This was Ford's attempt at pushing an EV agenda, especially in a commercial industry, trying to push trucks. Now, this truck has an MSRP of $79,590. It is a Lariat, so it is optioned out, but you are paying $80,000 for a pickup truck. Now, this video isn't about Rivian, but Rivian makes a pretty excellent electric vehicle as well. The problem is, if either of these vehicles get into an accident, the repair costs are actually sometimes more expensive than the vehicle's worth, and it's quick to total out these electric vehicles. Now, let's go to the Cybertruck. We talked about how the Ford Lightning Lariat was $80,000 with an MSRP. The Cybertruck Foundation Series had a starting price of $101,000. Now, if you look at the window sticker, the base price is $79,000, but for the Foundation Series, it's an additional $20,000. So you're paying $20,000 for what they call the Foundation Series. That's essentially to get your Cybertruck in at the ground floor, get it before anyone else. Now, a lot of people put their numbers in 2019. They put in their reservations 4 years ago, and they just started to get their vehicles this year, 2024, including myself in 2019. 2019, there was a number put in for my Cybertruck. I picked it up in April of 2024. That's almost a 5-year wait for that vehicle at $101,000. Now, here's why that truck at the time was worth it. You couldn't get them. People waited and waited and waited. I paid $101,000 for mine, and people were turning around and selling them for $140,000 that same day. They were selling their numbers off for $10,000 above price of the vehicle. Now, it's a really, really cool truck. I really enjoyed it, filled with technology and autopilot and so many cool features. Not to mention, it's just a pretty neat looking car. Whether you hate them or love them, it is pretty neat looking. So I bought my Cybertruck for $101,000. Now, we don't live in a world where cars appreciate anymore, but when I did buy this, that was the world we were living in. Quickly, that changed. Now, typically when you buy a new vehicle, it does depreciate 20% as soon as you drive it off the lot because it's not a new car anymore. It's a used vehicle. That is a thing again. Cars don't appreciate when you buy them new anymore. That is not how it works. So expect your 20% depreciation. That's normal. Well, there's more than just that. Tesla just announced that they caught up on production and they're lowering the price of the vehicle. They're removing the Foundation Series $20,000 extra package and they're offering Cybertrucks at $79,000. $21,000 less than I paid, but there's more than just that. To qualify for your electric vehicle tax credit, the vehicle has to sell for under $80,000. So now the Cybertruck qualifies for a tax credit of $7,500. So if you're paying $80,000, you're actually paying $72,500, which is now $27,500 less than I paid for mine. So you can see how the values are plummeting. Why would anybody buy my used 6,000-mile Cybertruck from me when they can go buy a new Cybertruck for $72,500? And then there's more. They now offer a referral program. So if you want to buy a Tesla, you can actually use my code and get $2,000 off the price of a Tesla, including a Cybertruck. So reduce the price again by $2,000 more. You'd be at $71,500 for a Cybertruck. That's less than a Ford Lightning that nobody wants, that Ford can't sell. So me as a Cybertruck owner, I'm screwed. I own a $100,000 vehicle that you can now buy for $70,000 6 months later. How do you think that makes me feel? But for you buying a new Tesla, that's amazing. And I have to give Tesla credit where credit is due. They're finding ways to lower prices on new cars when everyone else is increasing prices on new cars. They're finding ways to increase technology, make things more efficient, better for the environment, kind of, when other car companies can't do that. They're revolutionizing the market when other car companies are just trying to keep up. Their electric vehicle infrastructure is far superior to anybody else's, and they're just showing the way. And as a matter of fact, they're not even trademarking some things because they want the world to be better. They're not just trying to make the profit, which is why Tesla's performing so well now. Again, they were doing terrible in 2019. Fast forward to 2024, and their stocks are through the roof. Now, Ford F-150 Lightning, they stopped producing. The Mach E's, there's still Mach E's from 2023, new, sitting on lots that are still available. The Humvee electric vehicle, I backed out of that, thank goodness. That was over $100,000. Those were a flop. I moved to Florida 6 months ago, and the dealership up the road from me still has the same 6 Humvee EVs that they had when I moved here 6 months ago. Slowed down production on all of their electric vehicles because nobody's buying them. They didn't reduce the price at all, not even one bit, but their used ones, once the values have plummeted, you can buy those Ford Lightnings at a fraction of the price now because no one's buying them. That really isn't the case with Tesla. Tesla has a very specific niche brand, a niche market and demographic, and people are loyal to them. But you do have to beware when buying a Tesla. Model 3, Model Y, Model X. I think the new one is a Model W. What's the new one coming out? But if you're buying a Tesla, know what you're in for. Because number one, the service is really difficult. There's not a lot to service, but there are tons of recalls on their new vehicles, especially the Cybertruck. And with a car company that's constantly reducing prices on their new vehicles, which is a good thing, it hurts the value of your used vehicle. No one is going to pay near what you paid on your car if you can go buy a new one. The Cybertruck production is caught up. They've actually slowed down production because they have too many Cybertrucks, which is wild because that wasn't a thing 6 months ago. They sold us on a Foundation Series that was $20,000 extra, even though it didn't come with autopilot because it wasn't ready, and a lot of other features that should have come with the car that weren't available yet. So if you're thinking about buying a Tesla, I actually recommend it. I like the brand, I like the product. No, the fit and finish isn't that great. It's not like a premium quality luxury car. Everything's kind of cheaply made, but it is revolutionary. It is our future. Whether you hate the Cybertruck, it doesn't matter in this video. The Model 3, the Model Y, the Model S, they are. That Model X Plaid is fast, like nothing I've ever been in before, or any supercar I've ever been in as well. It is wild in a straight line how fast that car is. But just know that Tesla lowers their prices overnight. They increase their incentives overnight. They add options like free supercharging, which they just offered on the Cybertruck overnight. So if you buy a car today, you don't know what's coming tomorrow. You can't plan, you can't predict. You're just gambling, hoping that what you're buying today stays like this for a little while. Know you're buying a new car. Know it's going to be a used car at some point. Know that it's going to go down in value tremendously. I just lost $28,000 on my Cybertruck a month ago, and it's worth even less now. And before I sold it, I saw one sell for 91 a few weeks before that. So I'm just watching them go down. I just showed you dozens and dozens of Teslas that are used, that are going up for auction or going for sale. They're everywhere. By the way, the fit and finish, this is exactly what I was telling you about. You can see how the vinyl just peels off. It's not leather, even though it feels like leather or looks like leather. I made this video to warn you. I'm not saying don't buy Tesla. I'm going to buy another one. I love them. I love them. I also know what I don't like about them, and that's what I show you. So beware that values are going to drop and you don't know when the prices are going to change. Although it's a very positive thing that Tesla's trying to revolutionize the world and create better technology for all of us and create ways to lower prices on vehicles, make things more affordable for us, which is amazing. That is not something I should be complaining about. Just know you could spend something today and know that this same item is less tomorrow with no notice. It's a pretty big deal, and it's cost a lot of people a lot of money. So beware buying a used Tesla, because the values are sometimes, like what you see them for sale, isn't really what they're worth. There are so many used Teslas out there that the values are really low, which means you can get a great deal on a used Tesla if you know that there are thousands for sale. You're the buyer, you're in control, you have the money. The demand isn't there and the supply definitely is. So maybe it's a good time to buy a used Tesla instead of a new one, because the values are diminished and you can suffer someone else's depreciation. If this video was informative, educational, entertaining, please do me a favor and thumbs up down below. In the comment section, tell me if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if you love electric vehicles, if you hate them. Are they our future? You guys tell me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all later. Adios.